we are going to use our stencils that we created last time and begin to print them to make a really cool abstract painting inspired by Henry Matisse. So we drew with our scissors and we created all these crazy abstract stencils. We're going to use one at a time and print each stencil at least twice somewhere on our paper. So to do this, you're going to get your stencil and place it somewhere where you think you want it to be. It can go off the paper, it can be right in the middle, it is up to you. But whatever you start with, whatever color, load your brush up, put some water on there and get it nice and wet. You're going to print by going from the stencil with your paintbrush onto the paper. And then keep going around the edges, painting on the middle of that. You want your brush to do the work for you. So occasionally get more water, dip it in so you get a really nice light, almost transparent color of whatever your shape is doing. You want to go all the way from the outside edge to the middle to print it. And then while your stencil's in place, any white spaces where your brush didn't reach, you just want to paint it. When you lift this stencil up, after you've gone over every single inch, you should have an exact copy of your beautiful purple spot. I'm going to use purple again with the same stencil and print it in another spot. Going over and around, always try to go from the stencil onto the paper, because if you go from the stencil or from the paper onto the stencil, your brush might go underneath of the shape and then the shape would become distorted rather than what it's really supposed to be. So I did it twice. I feel like I need one more. Some people might try to make theirs look like a particular object. Some people just might want to do the pretty shape and print it. There's no wrong way as long as you have a clear image of what your print should be. Making sure that there's no white spaces inside of your shape. When I lift that up, voila! I can then switch to a different stencil if I want. And maybe I want to start with it in its own space over here. Picking a color that I think is going to go well with it. So I think for this one I'm going to go to my blue. So I'm again printing, being very careful, always trying to go from the stencil onto the paper to make that image. If it's really watery like this spot, I can actually pick the paint up from that spot and then just move it to a different spot on my paper to get that shape. You want to make sure you hold your stencil down so that it can't move on you while you're printing it. And you have to be careful when you lay your stencil down. If there was a spot that had been previously painted, sometimes that color can get on the back of your stencil as well. So when I lift this one up, I have that really cool blob. Sometimes you can even overlap if you want. Maybe I want a piece of this blue to go on top of this purple. So that's why I asked you to use colors in the order of the color wheel, because now this blue is going to overlap with this purple, and because they're next to each other on the color wheel, the shape is going to get distorted a little bit, but the colors will still blend nicely, and you'll actually be able to get to see what happens when they mix together. So remember to hold it down flat, always go from the stencil, printing with each stencil at least 2 times. So if I lift this up, you can see I have that cool image, and look, the blue mixes with the purple over there to make that really cool shape. Let's finish out this picture with my other stencils.